Alright, so a few days ago I released a video on other characters in Overwatch where I went over putting different fictional characters into the world of Overwatch and giving them their own unique abilities. You know, just as gameplay mechanics and shit. And then somebody challenged me. Silvuddy Pokemon music, get ready cause I accept your challenge. The one thing that actually makes this difficult is that for the most part, Dragon Ball characters use martial arts and then key blast and stuff on the side. So I'm gonna have to be more creative in the kit. Like for instance, the first one, Majin Buu. He has a lot of different energy attacks and abilities, but for a lot of the fighting, you see him throwing punches and kicks, which is not something that Overwatch heroes generally do. For Majin Buu's melee, I'm actually gonna give him double melee range. It may seem unfair. I'm actually gonna put him in the tank role, by the way, but something that Majin Buu has been able to do is manipulate his body, like changing facial features or extending limbs, stuff like that. And he's a tank, so I think it would be fair to just give him this one thing. It's still normal melee damage, it's just longer range. Can Fat Buu still extend his body like that? I don't think we've ever seen Fat Buu do that. Does Fat Buu have a different name, or did just people call him Fat Buu because he's fat? Oh, I guess his name is Innocent Majin Buu. What the fuck? You know what? I'm actually gonna make those melee hits, those long range melee hits, his primary fire. I'm gonna make those melee hits his primary fire, and I'm gonna raise it from normal damage 50? Is 50 too overpowered? Because he is gonna be a melee tank. 75. I think Reinhardt does more than that, actually. So 75. He doesn't have a shield, which will also be a pretty big weakness. But instead of his actual head being his headshot hitbox, it's actually gonna be the fin on his head. So you're gonna have to hit the fin to get a headshot. And does that actually count as a fin, or is that just an appendage? I don't know the scientific term for that piece of shit. So Majin Buu's second ability is going to be to mark somebody, and while they're marked, the mark lasts for, let's say, 8 seconds before it goes away and the ability needs to cool down. If the target dies within those 8 seconds, then they turn into a health pack in the form of chocolate. Oh man, the Overwatch devs could literally just make a tiny chocolate bar in the shape of whatever hero it is, or a giant chocolate bar. I think the one that he made out of somebody was actually giant once, like a giant cookie. Doesn't matter. And it would heal him depending on the health pool of the hero, or maybe the hero type. So if it's a support hero, it only heals about 75. If it's a DPS hero, it heals him for 100. And if it's a tank, it heals him for 150. I feel like that's fair. Majin Buu's final ability is going to be his Assault Rain, which will spread a vast amount of energy projectiles around him, and people that get caught in it get not, I wouldn't say stunned, but I would say slowed, so they can't move out of the way. Kind of like how Ramatra's ability slows you down but doesn't stun you, and Ramatra's a shield buster. Buu will not be a shield buster. Actually, let's just say it does like 30 damage a second for 6 seconds. Fuck it, why not? That might be a little underpowered, but this is just a concept, and I'm not known for balancing. This does make it harder for me to do Broly later, though, because one of Broly's attacks is literally just a bunch of projectiles flying out of him. Whatever. There was one time where Buu, he screamed so loud he broke a hole in reality. That's going to be his ultimate ability. It's going to be a beam that goes through every wall in the map, and it's going to be the size of Buu's hitbox, and it's going to be hit scan. It's going to be an instant 400 damage in a straight line through walls till the edge of the map, and maybe a second of stun added on top of that, because every other explosive ultimate does more damage than that. A hit scan explosive would actually be pretty neat, wouldn't it? Next up, we got Krillin. And fortunately, Krillin might actually be the easiest character for me to do here. Alright, I don't want everybody to just have Ki Blast as their primary fire. So since Krillin's a cop, I'm just gonna give him a fucking gun. Just give him a fucking pistol, goddamn. Oh, looks like we got a new revolver character, because that's what a lot of Japanese police are rocking nowadays. Even though it's a fucking old gun from around World War II era. It's a 5-shot revolver. Krillin's not gonna have a fan the hammer, but he is gonna have slightly more damage than McCree. The fact that McCree can do damage faster than Krillin will make him the better option for experienced players. But Krillin's revolver will have just a little bit more damage, but it'll also have recoil. That's something that McCree's revolver doesn't have. It just takes like a second to fire again. Krillin's revolver is gonna have recoil, and you're gonna have to replace your aim on the head. I wonder, did Krillin just not accept a service weapon because he's like 500,000 times stronger than any human weapon? Alright, Krillin's first ability is going to be Solar Flare. Solar Flare will stun everybody who sees him for 0.5 seconds and give them minus 30% healing. So if somebody tries to heal them for 5 seconds, then they just will get less healing. This could be especially useful if you use it on a tank. And I know half a second of stun doesn't sound like a lot, but that's more than enough to stop any ultimate, and it's probably gonna need a really high cooldown, like 20 seconds. Because McCree's stun was a single target that needed like what, a 12-second recharge. Then again, this is also the same character who rolls 3 feet forward and has to wait like 8 seconds to roll again, which is stupid. Krillin's second ability. You know how Reaper locks onto a ledge and teleports to it? Krillin's gonna lock onto a ledge and fly to it. But you can actually stop flying in the middle of going to that ledge and start floating towards the ground and just shooting on your way down. Kinda like how Mercy falls slowly, except you lock onto a ledge and get pulled to it instead of teammates. That's actually a great idea. That'll allow you to use your map to your advantage instead of your teammates. That's something they should have done with Mercy. Krillin's funniest death was when Frieza blew him up. Let's make Krillin explode for 50 damage when he dies. There you go. Alright, Krillin's ultimate ability will probably be Destructo Disc. It's the most overpowered thing that he has. So Krillin's gonna throw out 2 Destructo Discs. He has 5 seconds to shoot them both out. Kinda like how you have a limited amount of time before Ilari's ult fires. Krillin has a limited amount of time before he just auto-fires both of them side by side. The impact from Destructo Disc will deal 300 damage to whoever it hits, but in case they survive, they will be dragged with the Destructo Disc until they either hit a wall and take 50 more damage, or they fall off a cliff. And that's really not overpowered because, again, you can just fucking dodge it. But this will be a projectile that can't be deflected. But somebody like Mei could put a wall up in front of it. It would just destroy the entire wall and then disappear. But yeah, it's not that overpowered. Because again, other characters just insta-kill you. This one, at least you have a chance to survive. It's only 300 damage. That's less than the Tracer Bomb. 350 if you hit a wall. Still less than a Tracer Bomb. And even if you fall off a cliff, you still have a chance to use whatever fucking movement ability before you fall down to your death. Granted, you do have 2 Destructo Discs, bringing it to potentially 600 or 700 damage, depending on who you hit. But it's not an explosive, so it will only hit whoever's in front of it. Whatever, I think this is fine. Next up, we got Frieza. Alright, so Frieza's melee is obviously going to be a tail slap. He's the only character on this list who I think has a tail, except for anybody who can turn into a Great Ape. Frieza's main attack will also be his death lasers. You know the one he was using to shoot Vegeta in the Namek saga? Yeah, that's going to be his primary fire. Let's say he's not going to have to reload, but he also doesn't get headshots. How much damage would it do? Like 45? Is that fair? No, that may be a little bit too overpowered. Actually, no, that wouldn't be too overpowered. Fuck that. Junkrat does so much damage. 45 it is. I don't know how fast he would be able to shoot, but I know that damage would be reasonable. Alright, so there was a point in Dragon Ball Super, I think it was Resurrection F, where Frieza destroyed Earth by placing his palm on the floor, and I think shooting energy into the core of the earth. Instead of using that as his ultimate, I'm actually just going to use that as a side ability. He's gonna place his palm on the ground, and he's gonna launch everybody in front of him into the air. I'd say it deals like 60 damage is fine, right? When it bumps them up into the air. Kind of like a miniature version of Venture's ult, except everybody flies into the air and it doesn't do as much damage. Let's say that they also take double knockback if they get launched into the air. So if somebody uses something that has knockback, they go fucking fly. And they go zooming. I don't know how fair that is, but whatever. As you probably would have guessed, Frieza's ultimate is going to be turning into Golden Frieza, giving it an incredible boost to all of his attacks. And let's say it gives him the ability to rapid fire his lasers, just like Bastion's turret form, because he does this in the anime too. He just starts rapid firing his death laser, and his lasers go from purple to red. Let's say that his tail also does double damage, and his planet destruction pulse adds fire damage. And well, how long would this form last for? Like 10 seconds? Is that too overpowered? 8 or 10 seconds. I like to make stuff last for 8 or 10 seconds because that's just a good time frame for stuff in Overwatch. Anyways, that's part 1 of Dragon Ball characters in Overwatch. I hope I did this correctly because I did watch Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, but it's been a while. I mean, I had to refresh my knowledge, and it is really hard coming up with some abilities for people because they honestly fight with their fists more than they fight with their key attacks. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this one. See ya.